tag for a stolen vehicle. That vehicle was allegedly a Challenger, and a silver Challenger at that, with a different license plate tag. Lenisha's driving to go hang out with some friends to celebrate senior week, and she's pulled over. If you notice on the video, the first thing that Officer Kayla Wallace references is, "That's not it." Despite that, guns were still drawn on her. She pulled out her vehicle. She's told to walk backwards to the sound of her voice with guns drawn on her. She was never even asked for her license and registration, the common decency that you would see somebody have when they are generally pulled over. And these photographs we have are because she wasn't treated with the decency of the beautiful young soul that she is when she was pulled over, so that the media and people can see who she was. Unfortunately, she was not treated with that dignity. She was not treated with that respect. And she's forced to drop on her knees with shorts on the side of the street with traffic ongoing. And from there, Ms. Hingway, she complied, but she's of course traumatized. She's scared for her life. One wrong move, she could be gone with these guns drawn on her. And following her arrest, she's put in handcuffs. They eventually let her go. Not once did they even ask her name. Nobody gave her a report. And she was left angry, traumatized, not knowing what to do. And when she went to her family, thankfully her mother and her grandmother and her aunts, they came to the city of North Myrtle Beach to get some answers to figure out what happened. And a report really wasn't generated in this until over a week later. Not once was a report generated, despite there being public contact laws for law enforcement departments. Whenever they make contact with a citizen and there's not an arrest or detainment, they're supposed to get that information and give a citizen a report. That did not happen here, and here's where we are now. What we're seeking is full justice and accountability for everything that Lenisha has gone through, this traumatizing experience that is sticking with her today, and she's going to have to relive for the rest of her life, unfortunately. And on top of that, there needs to be a complete training of the law enforcement department on citizens' interactions and lawful stops. When you draw a weapon on somebody, in today's climate too, with open carry, constitutional carry, you don't know what you're going to come into. Any one wrong move could be a death, and a life and death situation. So there needs to be a complete overhaul of the training, and there needs to be some accountability with the license plate reader technology that the city is utilizing. If this is AI driven, you would think that the first thing you would do is check the license plate. In fact, on video, Lenisha, who just turned 18, you hear her ask the officer, "Did you even check my license plate?" before they made an arrest, before they pulled her out the vehicle. That should have been done immediately. And then they should have went to her vehicle and asked, "Hey, will you step out?" So I know that some of her tribe, her village, wants to speak about, from a personal, familial perspective, of what Lenisha has gone through and who she is as a person. So I'll step aside from there, and then we'll take some questions from the media if y'all have some. So whoever would like to speak first is welcome to do so. And I have her uncle here, the former Judge Cox, who wants to talk about her daughter, his niece.
My name is Aaron, Dr. Aaron Cox. I am the great-grand uncle of Lenisha. I got to tell you all, whenever I first got the phone call that this had occurred, I was shocked, but I had mixed emotions because I was thinking, thank God that she is alive and she's okay. But then the more I learned and the more I reflected on it and thought about it, I got angry. And I got angrier and angrier. So what I want to tell you is that from my perspective, I have been in law enforcement for over 34 years. And I've been a state trooper in this state. I've worked in all levels of the criminal justice system, including policing, the courts, and corrections. And since 1998, I taught law enforcement officers. I taught use of force. I taught constitutional law, criminal law, arrest, search, and seizure. I'm very familiar with what should have happened. And the more I learn what didn't happen. And so that really sets the stage of how the family is feeling, I think. So I need to talk to you about the family and Lenisha. Because if I talk to you about me and how I'm feeling, it's a lot different. Because I'm more than mad, okay? But this has totally, just think about it. I want you to just imagine, we are in a beach community. We grow up here. This is where we live. And we enjoy the beach. So a lot of times you put on your beach clothing. It's hot outside. You're going to go to the beach and relax. You're driving to the beach and you've done nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong. And all of a sudden, police surround you, barricade you, and they're with guns drawn on you. And they're telling you, get out of your car and to walk back to them, backwards. All of these commands, and you're just like, what is happening? What is going on? And they put you in handcuffs. And they really don't explain what is happening and what's going on. They're not answering any questions. She's asking questions, but they're not answering the questions. And then, when they find out, oh, we got the wrong vehicle, they just say, go. You can leave now. That's a traumatic event. I remember the first ticket I received at 17 years old. I was shaking. I was nervous. I had never had any interaction with police before. Think about her situation. She done nothing wrong. When they stopped me back then, I was speeding. They should have stopped me. They had a right to stop me. She did nothing, absolutely nothing wrong. And then she was put through this traumatic event that she is having to deal with emotionally, just having to just graduate in high school where she should be really thinking about the next chapter in her life and what she's going to do. And all of that's turned upside down because now she's just trying to figure out where she is in this world and why this world reacted to her. People that should have been her protectors treated her like less than a human. So she's having to deal with the trauma of the incident, the distrust that she now has, and she probably be dealing with this for a long time. Her anxiety, how does she react to law enforcement or anybody in authority that comes around her? So this event has, for right now, changed her, her demeanor, how she acts and responds to family members, how she interacts with her friends, her social life, how she's dealing with just living at 18 years old. And why? Because the police didn't do stuff right from the beginning.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lenisha's grandmother. I'm Janet. My baby was always outgoing and TikToks and, friends, just the life of the party in the house, like around us. We're happy. She's changed. All that has changed. She's not the same anymore. She's quiet. She's off to herself. She's distant. I want something done to protect our children. They're not protecting our children. You don't treat a young child this way. I mean, all you had to do was run the plate. It would have told you about her, the car, everything you needed to know. You would have found out about had you run. Didn't even know her name at the end of the day.
Didn't even ask her name.
Didn't even ask it. It was a week later when they found out what her name was. I just want help. We're looking for justice for this, because this has actually destroyed my grandchild, traumatized, mentally, physically, emotionally. And I just want help. And this man right here, my uncle, our family, is going to get it.
He will.
Thank
He
you.
will. Would anybody else like to speak? Any questions from the media?
Could I have you guys, both of them, just say and spell their first and last
Sure.
name for the record?
Say and spell your first name.
My name?
Yes, ma'am.
Janet, Janet Hemingway, Hemingway.
Dr. Cox.
I am Dr. Aaron Cox. That's Aaron, last name Cox.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think one question, I hope that people seeing this and reading about this and watching the video will wonder is, why did she not receive the common decency you expect when pulled over by law enforcement officers? And even after that, they should have immediately, once this made its way up the chain of command, reached out, brought her in, apologized, asked if they could offer counseling services. What can we do to help you recover from this? Because guns were drawn on her. I mean, coming up her age, and she's seen the Michael Sterlings, the Trayvon Martin stories. Her father was tragically killed by gun violence, so she knows what repercussions can happen when guns are drawn. And unfortunately here, it seems like the officers were just going about business as usual. It was nothing significant or important or what mattered about what Lenisha went through that day. So that's what we're here to get, is justice and accountability here. And we hope the city of North Myrtle Beach will do everything possible to try to make it right. So far they have not done that at all. And if it wasn't for her family who went to the department to get some answers, we wouldn't even have this information today, that we're able to bring this lawsuit to get some vindication and some accountability. So we appreciate y'all for coming here to listen and make sure that this gets some attention, so there could be some real change, because there needs to be some change. And not only does change need to be had, Lenisha deserves some justice here.
What kind of response have you gotten from the Myrtle Beach police after the incident?
Nothing. No response.
Even when the family went to the police department, what was that interaction
Well, me describing the interactions would have been rude when initially her mother and I believe grandmother went up there to the department to get some answers. They were told in a kind of a matter-of-fact, off-putting way that she's a grown woman. She needs to come up there and get the answers because she's 18, but she's a high school student. There's high school students who are 19 years old living with their parents. If this was anybody else, I believe, who may have looked differently, there may have been a different respect that was shown. Because when her grandmother went up there, no answers were given, and they didn't have this. It wasn't even documented or reported. It wasn't until later they had to go back and start asking questions to figure out what happened on that day. If they would have did what they were supposed to do, there would have been a report initially. So there's been no response from anybody with authority at the city of North Myrtle Beach or City of North Myrtle Beach Police Department, who've tried to reach out to the family, who have extended any sort of sympathy for what Lenisha's going through. And she's had to take it this far to get any sort of accountability.
Do you know if there's any sort of investigation into any of these officers involved?
I do not have an answer to that question yet, but I do know that there's a report of it. There's several different body camera footage from Kayla Wallace, who was the initial officer who made the stop. But I believe it's Mike Pasillo. And excuse me if I'm mispronouncing his last name. I would say they did not ask Lenisha's last name, so if I mispronounce it, I do apologize about that. But he also has body camera footage from when he drew his weapon on Lenisha, because the vehicle stopped in front of her while she was driving, and then guns were drawn on the front and back along with another officer making some directions. So I'm not sure if there's been any investigation. I do know that the department has all dash cam video and body camera video of the incident from the stop and any other interactions between the family and law enforcement following the incident.
So besides the family going into the police department, was there any other interaction at all, any follow-up calls, anything like that, or no?
No, not at all.
When are you anticipating the lawsuit will be formally filed?
So the lawsuit was filed yesterday, and so I'm anticipating the courts will send us back a stamped copy which will show the official case caption, but the lawsuit is filed. We've already publicly circulated the final version of that lawsuit. So the only thing that will be changed will be there will be a case caption assigned to it.
How many officers were involved in the stop?
There were at least 3 officers involved in the stop.
How many vehicles?
At least 3, and really you have 2 officers who seem to have drawn weapons on her, and 1 officer that was kind of directing traffic.
What do you hope to see happen with the officers who were involved in this?
You know, I think the officers need some training here, even if it's just bedside demeanor. But if we're going to be utilizing more technology in policing, like license plate readers, you still have to have a human element that's there. So if a license plate reader tells you that this vehicle or whatever vehicle may have been involved in a crime, common sense says, well, read the license plate of the car you pull over. I mean, there needs, if we have to train to that level, we should train to that level. I think there needs to be some accountability, especially when it comes down to the public contact reports. And if it turns out that the department is not honoring their public contact obligations, there needs to be training on that as well. Because anytime you have a citizen who's pulled over by a law enforcement officer, if you think back to the drafting of these bills, it was before there was body camera footage. And so if there was no body camera footage of what happened, and she received no report, there would be no public accountability unless the officers admitted that they were, in fact, the ones who stopped a person. So that there needs to be training on that, because those rules exist for a reason. They exist so, one, there's accountability to the public, and there's some transparency to the individual who stopped. Because years ago, before there was body cameras, before there was any of this, officers could stop somebody, do whatever they wanted to, and the person drive off. And if nobody believed them, nobody believed them. Luckily here there was dash cam footage and body camera footage, because if there wasn't, really all that existed was Lenisha's story to her family informing me of that story, and us getting our hands on that footage.
Anything else you guys want to say?
No, but I will reiterate that what Lenisha has experienced, which was may have been a little bit of a day on the job for the officers, is going to be a lifetime of something that Lenisha has to grapple with. Most people, I hope, never have a firearm pulled on them at all, but when you do have one pulled on you, it's something that sticks for you for the rest of your life. You know, she's a young child. She will eventually, hopefully, as she grows, may have a son or daughter of their own. You know, what type of story does this help with police trust and accountability in the community, right? When she's gone through this and she tells her friends about what happened to her, and the story goes on, that it doesn't help try to mend the breach that exists in society today. And so we hope, you know, we pray and we hope that she gets the help that she needs, because it's going to take therapy. It's going to take, you know, some true healing for her to move on for this. And it's unfortunately be nothing that she can just move on from, because just the traumatic history of her own personal history with gun violence, her having the experience of her own, is something that's going to stick with her forever. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.